Believe, so say the neon signs by the loudspeakers, repeating that everything is fine. A subtle solace to demolish the troubled conscience of a populace with no knowledge and every freedom denied. Every dream is designed and broadcasted from the masters to the masses, from the antennas on top of the shrines. Refine the receiver and plant it during the panic and short it. It reports back everything in your mind. Lupe Fiasco wrote this almost 20 years ago now. Before the pandemic, before the algorithms ran everyone's lives, before everyone was walking around with their damn phone documenting everything they're eating, Lupe wrote these almost 2 decades ago, and it's almost uncomfortable how accurate these bars sound, because right now, our society is stuck in a demonic feedback loop that most people do not understand, and this loop is always a step ahead of us, no matter how much we think we're noticing. And that's what this video is about. You see, the strange thing about our modern world isn't just that a bunch of false narratives constantly get pushed to the public. It's that the broadcasting machine also watches how we respond to these narratives, and it creates this stage magic style closed loop. The last part of that passage is particularly prophetic. It reports back everything in your mind. That line might describe something that a lot of people can feel, but maybe haven't been able to put into words yet. So here's what I think those words are really pointing at. It's not just that a narrative meant to psyop you gets broadcast. It's also that your reaction gets captured either way. Even if you're skeptical, if you hate it, if you think you've outgrown it, it does not matter. Your reaction feeds back into the system, and the system adjusts from there. What you watch all the way through, what you rewatch or what you skip, down to exactly what frame you decide to pause on. And actually, that's whether you're watching a video or you're just scrolling your feed and you stop at a thumbnail for a second. They can tell what you considered watching or which thumbnail caught your attention, even if you didn't click it. Let's think of a thermostat. A thermostat doesn't just blast heat randomly. It is constantly measuring the temperature or the conditions of the room, of the environment, right? And it compares those conditions to a set target that it is programmed for, and it is constantly adjusting without you noticing for the most part. It is constantly adjusting to get to the conditions that it's programmed for in a gradual and barely detectable way. So this is what's going on culturally. The control messaging fills the air, and unlike old propaganda, the new propaganda has feedback, and this feedback is immediate and it's very precise. Think about it. Old propaganda was some variation of a speaker or a TV with a crowd. They certainly couldn't directly capture or analyze everyone's faces or expressions. Now, they can. Your feedback reports back to the machine, and the machine keeps adjusting that control dial on the broadcast that you're seeing. This is how it always stays a step ahead of you. And so that's the mechanism. That's the thermostat. Now let's talk about what it's really doing in your day-to-day life. If you're paying attention, you may already have noticed that your feed doesn't only show you what you like. It does sprinkle in just enough of that, but it also shows you what it can get away with. It'll throw, for example, something mildly irritating at you. If you engage your feed, it escalates that kind of content. If you ignore it, it'll try a different flavor. And do you remember that line from the opening lyric, "Plant it during the panic"? Because when people are in a state of fear, anxiety, or worry, people are especially susceptible to being programmed or manipulated. People become more willing to go along with false narratives. They become easier to steer. This is because when people are panicked or vulnerable, they want safety. They want certainty. They want authority. Maybe a comforting narrative that collapses all of the uncertainty and the ambiguity and the chaos around them. In other words, stress narrows the ability of any person to think critically. News cycles that manufacture urgency and then disappear within 48 hours, basically training you to spike and settle, spike and settle, spike and settle until that pattern becomes the whole point. This is why the algorithms, again, feel always a step ahead. And that's what people don't get. The normalization of so many insane things, this constant bad faith insistence that everything is fine, that's the temperature that they're constantly trying to adjust you back to, whether you think you can see through what they're doing or not. And this part messes with people because it's not just that you're being influenced or I'm being influenced. We're all being influenced, and most people are aware of that by now. The thing is that the system doesn't care how you react because any reaction becomes a report for it. It becomes the data that essentially feeds the beast. And as it gets fed back, as your reaction gets fed back to the machine, it automatically generates the next output to keep steering you. That's why reality feels like it's shifting around you in some way that's just barely noticeable. You can just sort of perceive it, but it's still abstract enough to be unclear. Am I right? That's what this constant gaslighting of everything is fine is actually all about. It's not an observation, it's a calibration of your mind. That's the stage magic. And once you reframe control narratives in this way, they become another one of those mind control devices that are actually pretty hard to unsee. So even the person who's sitting there thinking that he's seeing through all of it, that's skeptical of it, that's feeling outrage over it, or even making fun of the propaganda, the system still uses all of this. Me making this video calling it out, still a usable reaction for the system. Because, we are living inside of this black mirror-like machine that is constantly testing different narratives on us in real time. And it just keeps dialing back to whatever setting gets the response that they want the most. And once you start seeing that, it kind of changes how you look at everything, because you really understand how much of your daily life is funneled into this narrow band of understanding and being. Not too calm, because calm people will actually put their phone down. Not too panicked, just enough because people that are too antsy start getting harder to control. It's this dystopian Goldilocks zone for optimal control. And honestly, the way out of this is not becoming a doomer or tossing your phone in a lake or going to go live in a hut in the woods. It's actually way simpler than that. Just stop handing over your energy. Stop handing over such clean data to these algorithms so easily. Just whenever you can, whenever you feel like you're getting stuck in this irritation loop, don't scratch it. If you feel that anxiety spiking and you want to go find out what's happening, just don't. You can do that, Maybe not every time. I'm not telling you to be a monk or go live in a cave, but maybe start breaking that loop every once in a while and see what happens. Because every time you take the bait, you're not just watching something or reading something that's bad for you. You're also teaching the machine what works on you. That's why Lupe's words are hitting so hard 20 years later. And that last line, it reports back everything in your mind.